Hello, Internet, and thank you for joining me today. Since my big October project nearly killed me, I have been trying to take it a lot easier. For example, I spent last weekend watching the Chiefs, the Predator, and the Rock get beat like a truck stop hooker. Seriously, I don't know what's up with Mahomes this year. But anyway, The Smashing Machine is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's shot at an Oscar, and for the first time since seeing him touch other sweaty men, I think he might be kind of close. It's really the only time I have thought that his performance was better than the material that he was working with. I know a lot of people have talked about this one already, and I'm kind of late to the party, but indulge me for a minute while I yap about this one for a little bit. Also, side note, YouTube has claimed the last 3 videos for copyright reasons, so this whole rambling thing that I'm doing here is just going to be stills with some gameplay of whatever game I end up playing while I record this. Okay, let's dive in. Alright, so The Smashing Machine is a biopic about Mark Kerr, a legendary MMA fighter whose life was basically one long tap out to emotional trauma and also drugs. It's directed by Benny Safdie, the man who made Uncut Gems, that movie that Adam Sandler should have won an Oscar for, and maybe it's Safdie's thing to take these kind of shitty actors and get great performances from them. Any Hooters, it's a gritty jazz-scored descent into the world of sweating men touching each other with the aim of getting on top of one another. Kind of like your community park on a Saturday evening, but with even fewer condoms. We follow Kerr as he rises through the UFC ranks, gets addicted to painkillers and roids, ruins his relationship with what I am assured is not a blow-up doll, and cries in the shower. It's like Rocky if Rocky had a pharmacy in his gym bag and had exactly 0 redeeming qualities. Also, if Adrian got all the plastic surgery. Now, that's the basic plot for every biopic ever made. So far, so average. But the way more interesting thing is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's performance. This man who once played a tooth fairy and then made an ass out of himself in his Amazon Prime Christmas movie is absolutely haunting as a roided out bear of a man beset on all sides by his own demons. In the notes I took while I was researching this, I found a Christopher Nolan quote that called the performance heartbreaking, which is wild to me because I never put stock into things other Hollywood people say. But this stands out since I agree with this specific one. It might be a little bit hypocritical to do so, but you don't come to my channel for any kind of consistency or logic. You come here for jokes that your parents would disapprove of, and my charming brand of navel-gazing. Back to that guy from the Jumanji remake's performance. It's extremely raw and uncomfortable. There's so many intense scenes of him just looking at the people around him or talking down to them without talking down to them that had me uncomfortably shifting in my chair more than a few times. And not shifting in my chair like when I watch Madam Web. Get your mind out of the gutter, you pervs. Anyway, those scenes are much more dad just hit mom at the dinner table than wow, he's acting his ass off, which leads me to think he was drawing on some pretty powerful stuff while he was filming those. It honestly feels like I'm watching that aforementioned shaved bear absolutely nail some Shakespeare in the Park, but like good Shakespeare, like Othello or Romeo and Juliet or The Tempest. Yeah, that's right. Eat shit, Hamlet. I think part of the reason I feel this way has a lot to do with the unusual direction from Benny Safdie, who must actually hate sports biopics. And I'm speculating that based purely on this movie's refusal to set up a damn tripod so we can get a solid shot. Also, this whole movie is less grunting through mouth guards and punching dudes and much more existential dread, set to some pleasant jazz tunes. From what I recall, all the major fight scenes are shot with this handheld rig, which make it seem less like I'm watching the culmination of character development and more out of obligation to this medium. Like, I swear this whole movie feels like an anti-biopic, which would explain why A24 would pick this one up, and that might also explain why the theatrical run made less than the CGI Scorpion King cost to bring to life. However, I have it on decent authority that VOD and word of mouth made up for most of that loss. Not that any of that matters, since this movie exists mostly to get The Rock an Oscar. Okay, pause. I kind of have just gone off of some notes I scribbled out for the most part in this review up until this point. So let me hard downshift here to give you some more of my thoughts after the movie has marinated in my brain through about half a month and a Halloween. Now, I stand by everything I wrote about the acting in this, but I think the direction was a bit too recency bias in my original script. It's not that anything about it is atrocious, but that handheld rigging seems really inappropriate for the tone that I feel like they're going for at certain times. There's also several long one-shots in this movie that just seem gratuitous. It just seems kind of like wasted effort to me most of the time, since it really never progresses the story or seems all that meaningful. To give you an example, Adolescence was this huge hit earlier this year, and everyone drained their balls over it since it was all well shot, but the story never benefited from any of that. And honestly, it exhausted me to the point I had to walk away from the show entirely because I just couldn't deal with that. I felt very similarly for a few of the long shots they did in this movie for like the argument scenes, because a lot of this movie is just like domestic dispute, the movie, which is fine, but it just really affected how I experienced those long shots. However, it was used to great effect in this is this scene where he walks out after his first loss early on in the movie, and that was actually insanely well done. The more I think about all the tension that was built up during that, as I basically just watched The Rock's traps as we go up an elevator before he explodes in this locker room, and the more I watch it, the more I wonder if the other things were just kind of a fever dream and I'm just misremembering. I might need to watch it again. I'm not 100% sure. Also, hindsight has made me somewhat less critical of the supporting cast. It sounded pretty harsh earlier because I was calling her like basically blow up doll, whatever. But in particular, the more I think about Emily Blunt's portrayal of Dawn and the characterization that she gave her, the more I think to myself, oh shit, that's actually Emily Blunt. Really? I think she's just as good as the Fast and Furious muscle man in this, and honestly, I think she should be angling for Best Supporting Female Actor Person. I don't use the term actress. Deal with it. But the thing I actually became more critical of as time has gone on is the script. And it's not that it's bad per se, it's more that the actors are elevating the material miles above where it should be. Like, most of this movie is just domestic struggles and arguments between characters. So the fact that I'm engrossed in this, reality show drama speaks volumes to the performances. I don't know how you punch up material like this without just outright fabricating things, but I just know that there's a writer out there that could probably do a better job than this. However, I don't think that there's a better cast and crew for this story because everything's so well done. It's like they all came together to make the Statue of David out of frozen bacon grease. It's impressive that you made something so beautiful out of something that's the disgusting byproduct of something else beautiful. I shouldn't write scripts when I'm hungry because I love bacon, if you can't fucking tell. So I come to the part in all of these videos that I have the most trouble with. Do I recommend this movie? Honestly, I think this one is a solid yes, with the caveat that you shouldn't expect The Rock to be The Rock. He's having this I'm a real actor, damn it moment, and he's crushing it. Fuck, I could have said smashing it, but I'm rambling at this point. What I mean to say is that this is not one to watch for the action parts. Watch it for the emotional roller coaster of a man not in control of anything, especially himself. Similarly, I too have no self-control, which is why I am begging for subs at the end of all of these videos, which is now. So like, comment, subscribe so I don't feel like I'm wasting my time here. And until next time, sayonara, bitches.